In the 19th century, Germany transformed from an agrarian land into an industrial developed nation. In Germany, in German settlements in other countries, the Germans would notoriously contribute to the community. And that was the case in Brazil, in the US, in Russia. The German community was known for having good education as a cultural value, and mostly they were not disdainful for manual or physical labors. Germans would take occupations that other locals would reject. They were appreciated for their contribution to the community. Over the last century, the welfare state has been established, it is still expanding, and there is a mentality that comes with it. The big argument for the welfare state is that we must establish some minimal standards of living for all members of our community. But being a member of a community is not a one-way street. The suffocating government control of the economy and everyday life is so commonplace that few seem to notice anymore. At the present, the welfare state faces a moral dilemma. Does the welfare state genuinely embody solidarity? Is this extensive bureaucratic apparatus beneficial to those whom it's intended to benefit? The voluntary aspect of solidarity, which is essential, has already become a sort of collective servitude in Germany. Parents have little influence on their children's school education. Products that you buy over the pharmacy counter in other countries in Germany require an interaction with the pharmacist. If you want to be a baker, a carpenter, a tailor, don't rush to turn your hobby into a business. You must take a test, obtain a license, and the preparatory course can take up to 2 years. There's a number of useless services that the residents have to do in person at the municipal administration office. It is common to see people taking the morning off of work whenever they have to deal with bureaucracy. It is the manifestation of one of the worst problems of the welfare state model, where there is a concentration of executive power, an inflation of centralized planning, and a lack of popular sovereignty mechanisms. Last month, the brand boss of Volkswagen declared they were no longer competitive due to administrative costs, labor costs, and low productivity. The Coca-Cola company also wants to close 5 sites in Germany. The deputy chairman of the trade union critics to the company was that Coca-Cola earns an enormous amount of money worldwide. And here I quote what he said. This gives the impression that this is not about economic necessity, but pure greed for profit at the expense of the employees. So he believed that the Coca-Cola company employees all around the world have to support the German Coca-Cola company. He demands as right what other people have to work for. There is an ideological movement that insists that the healthcare system is failing because the rich don't pay enough without showing any evidence of that. They say that greedy investors are the main cause of the collapse of the housing market. The fact that investors are a smaller slice of the market, or the fact that investors are fleeing the housing market for a decade, has neither discouraged nor discredited this argument. That is a very popular opinion among Germans. Also, politicians and intellectuals, they get more worked up by how the pie is sliced than by how big the pie is or why is the pie shrinking. Germans got comfortable with the idea of being micromanaged and micromanaging others. We create the time and the place for authoritarian ideas to flourish and succeed. The discussion of immigration, the immigration crisis, I think it's actually a citizenship crisis, since this anti-West, anti-prosperity sentiment ends up being a point of integration for many immigrants. Europe is the soft power. It used to be actually the soft power, the model of modern democracy, economic freedom, civil liberties. It used to inspire populations in other countries in the margin of democracy, like South Americans. I hope we can discuss other problems today, like the brain drain, the deindustrialization, because there is an increase in Islamist terrorism, in homeland terrorism from the left and from the right. And all these guys set themselves as the monopolist of virtue, as the people's representatives, the leader of the group of good against evil. From the moment we let ourselves be moved by this, from the moment we consider ourselves to be the good against evil without realizing that we can be impregnated by the evil, we are already corrupt and we are blinded by the corruption of our group, our leaders, our supporters. So this is bad for public debate, and this is also what's generate the populist leaders. because the populists will justify our failures, alleviate our fears, confirm our suspicions, and help us throw rocks at our enemies.
That's it. Thank you, Lysia.